Not a problem.
You've had 3 cups of coffee and a beer.
2.
That does
That's one of my favorite all-time stories. Surely I've told you this story.
No, I don't know. They all run together after a while.
I know. Freshman year, you don't pick your suite mates and your roommates in college, or at least you used to.
You were not able to, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
You were just assigned.
Yeah, we're that old.
Okay,
right.
So I was assigned one Brian Schaffner.
Okay,
who was from Durham, but he was his dad, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, was in the Air Force. So he was a military brat. So Snoop had a very particular way about him. And he had these cowboy boots. He thought he was country, but he was like 110 pounds.
Okay.
Very skinny, like extremely skinny. My freshman year is the fall of 93. I get to the dorm, Sullivan dorm, and he has a poster of like a Air Force pilot. And it's something about like Saddam thinks whatever,
Mm-hmm.
Well, you were wrong. It's like, So Snoop goes on spring break that year and he comes back and he literally has a Polaroid. Okay. It's a Polaroid.
I respect it.
Yeah. And it's like a Polaroid of like a person with like their arm almost like passed out.
Okay.
So Punkage,
the
lawyer to the stars, my lawyer is one of my suite mates, and his roommate is Zach. So Snoop I called him Snoop because he would always say hot dog. So I ended up calling him Snoop for Snoop Dogg. Snoop comes over, shows us the Polaroid of him allegedly passed out. And he goes, 3 beers, 2. I haven't even gotten to the punchline.
That was the accent that got me. But yeah, keep going. Keep going.
3 beers, 2 wine coolers.
Oh, jeez.
And a Zima. So Zach goes, well, did you get laid? Snoop goes, what do you think? Zach, without missing a beat. No, you didn't.
No. If that's your response to, hey, man, did you get laid? And it's like, what do you think? No, you didn't.
No,
you did.
No,
you did. Okay, look, I can't knock 3 coffees in a beer. Yesterday, I'm the one who's dragging, and I grabbed a Celsius from Leanne's fridge, pumped myself up with 200 milligrams of caffeine. I cannot do those.
Yeah, no.
And
those aren't good for me.
And then after dinner, or as I'm cooking dinner, you know what I'm doing?
Weller?
Knocking back groove wagons.
Oh,
so let me give myself 200 milligrams of caffeine while microdosing THCA.
It's very WWF of you. You gotta bring yourself up to bring yourself down.
Anyway, ready to go? Let's do this.
And a wine cooler. And a Zima.
And a Zima. You know what that requires?
A Zima.
In a meeting voice.
Ooh.
All right. Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovies. It is just past 2:00. We are live on YouTube. You know what that means. It's time for another Butcher's Market OG Live, brought to you by our friends at the Butcher's Market. Thanksgiving is a week away. I'm going to make things super easy for you, just like I'm going to make things easy for myself. I'm going to a Friendsgiving tomorrow evening.
Look at you.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to the freezer section. I'm going to get a couple of those ham biscuit trays, and I'm bringing it to Friendsgiving, and people are going to love them. No fuss, no muss. Here you go.
You know what I did yesterday?
What did you do yesterday?
I got a steak and cheese.
Oh, I haven't had a steak and cheese in a hot minute.
The Lake Boone. They changed their bread.
Yeah.
It's almost like a ciabatta loaf now.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
Man.
All right, look,
I guess you would call that an Italian or a French loaf, but it's nice.
Look, game at Carter Finley tomorrow. NC State, Florida State. We'll talk about that here in a second. You might not have time to go tailgating. No big deal. Just drop by that Lake Boone location and get yourself some sandwiches along the way.
I don't think you can find the Zimas, though.
They brought Zimas back, by the way.
I know.
They did bring him back. Yeah. What's this? Yeah, you had me at Zima. Yeah. I've never had a Zima. I've never had a Zima. I'll have a 10-year-old Bud Light Super Bowl 50, but I've never had a Zima.
I'm sorry. Now, I have props for you today, but that's a challenge.
Okay, let's go.
You never had a Zima?
I've never had a Zima.
Did you have a Red Dog or an Ice House?
I've had Ice House. I've had the Red Dog. Any of those wine coolers, like the Bartles and James, Clear, all that kind of stuff. I never had any of those back in the day. I think
What did you drink in high school?
Beer, like a red-blooded American. Beer.
I guess you are a little bit younger, and it would matter in those 4 years. But
and also, you got to remember too, in my
Zima
house,
didn't come out until I was in college. You should have been in high school when Zima came out.
It was. Zima was out, and that and like Smirnoff Ice and all that stuff. I never had any of that stuff. Never had any of that stuff. That stuff just
Smirnoff
looked like,
Ice came way
that stuff just looked like a headache. I've had a Four Loko, but I never had any of that stuff. You got to remember, in the Ovies household, a little loosey-goosey with the wine and the cognac and all that stuff. I was a little spoiled. My dad, like, here, try this.
Well, yeah.
Here's cognac.
Very European.
Very European. And actually, it worked because by the time I got to high school.
That's right. Bud Ice, not Smirnoff Ice.
That's right. Bud Ice. Totally forgot about the Bud Ice. Trust me, not anything that I really wanted. We're going to talk to Andrew Jones from Tar Heel 24/7 here in a little bit. Get his thoughts on the current state of the North Carolina football program under Bill Belichick. As we titled today's podcast, here it is. Carolina, Duke. Can little Billy back up his first words and beat Duke? So we'll get into that, a little bit of basketball as well. State fans are already annoyed at Giglio today, and we didn't even start the show. We'll find out why some State fans are annoyed at Giglio, because he went over to the Will Wade press availability today. So we'll bring you that back and forth between Will Wade and Joe Giglio a little bit later on. And Mike Maniscalco is going to check in because some way, somehow, the Carolina Hurricanes are atop the Metro.
They got a point last night.
They got a point last night. That's all you can ask for. That's all you can ask for. Before we get to the Florida State, NC State game tomorrow, I feel like this requires a little bit of setup for what that game or what this game is going to be. I saw some clips from the James Franklin introductory press conference at Virginia Tech.
Okay.
He walked into Enter Sandman. He's in his maroon. There was no guesswork as to where he was coaching. All the things that we've been annoyed by with Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
There's no mistaking where James Franklin is coaching and will be coaching. And I was reading David Hale's roundup of the press conference, and a couple of things stuck out. A lot of it has to do with our favorite buzzword when it comes to college athletics, alignment. Speaking of Will Wade, we talked about this with the NC State basketball program. New money, financial commitment, this new blood coming in and what they want to prioritize and making sure that the coach and the money are in alignment. And what you're coming to find out for Virginia Tech for the longest time is that they were not in alignment. Whit Babcock, the AD, famously said, our expectations do not meet our financial commitment, all that kind of stuff, right? And Franklin was absolutely upfront about why he took this job, because of the financial commitment and the alignment. He got emotional talking about Brent Pry, who was a defensive coordinator for James Franklin. And as we speculated with Chip Patterson earlier this week, you had to imagine that James Franklin had a long conversation with Brent Pry about what am I getting myself into if I take this job? And James Franklin was upfront about it wasn't all pretty, but obviously we're going to fix this because of that key phrase, alignment. How bad was it at Virginia Tech? I'm reading Chris Vanini over at The Athletic, and this stuck out to me. The motto of the department at the time was do more with less. By the way, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, my entire radio career has essentially been do more with less, which is why transitioning over to the podcast side of things, really light work, all things considered. It's just really taking me back to my 850 The Buzz days, if you think about it. There were 65 Power 5 teams, and we were one of two that didn't have the film database Huddle. When I read that line, we were one of the two that didn't have Huddle. Guys, let me explain something to you. I have Huddle. The Junior Canes pay for Huddle for single A hockey. Okay? And I know this because I have to upload the video to Huddle so that the coaches can utilize it, break it down, and then have film review with the kids. You're telling me Virginia Tech, a Power 5 college football program, didn't have something that a single A 14U hockey parent uses? Well, no wonder you sucked for the last 10 years. And it came down to this. Coach Beamer didn't need this. And that's where we get to the money line. Coach Beamer didn't need this. And I feel like that line encapsulates just about all the problems that are happening at a variety of different college athletic programs, football and basketball. which also gets us to a Washington Post piece that I read this morning from Stephen Gottfried, who now works, he does stuff for Yahoo. He was here for the Sports Podcast Festival. And he was talking about Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss and that keyword alignment. And while Lane Kiffin is entertaining the circus about what he's going to do, and in my opinion, sinking himself for yet another egg bowl like he did back in, 2022, the one thing that was abundantly clear, and one line that I'm paraphrasing what Gottfried said, is that Ole Miss was uniquely positioned to navigate the NIL landscape and tiers of paying players because they've always been kind of doing that on the low. That's how you got anybody to be at Ole Miss. Remember, anytime they got good, you notice they got in trouble because that's how they operated. But now that everything's legal, well, they've been doing this for a while, so they know what to do and how they've already surpassed LSU and how they did do their NIL. And of course, Florida, which again is in that same mindset. Not necessarily, well, Frank Beamer didn't need this. It's more along the lines of, we're Florida. We're the flagship. We got the recruiting base. We got this stadium. We got all these fans. What do we need this for? And that's the mistake a lot of these programs are making, which gets us fast forward to tomorrow night, Carter Finley Stadium, between NC State and Florida State. Two programs that, damn it, man, don't really seem like they're in alignment for completely different reasons. You know, Florida State continues to want to just go into further and further debt for coaches and things like that. And then with NC State and Dave Dorn's been here long enough that we've seen the shift of, we got to go all in on football because here's our in to position ourselves to wait a minute. We really are going to invest in basketball and go forward with Will Wade. And that's kind of left NC State in a little bit of limbo, regardless of what happens with Dave Dorn this offseason. There has to be a conversation about alignment. What do you want this football program to be? And that's what Friday night's kind of a bowl game for.
Sure. I mean, to slightly correct you, though, NC State's never spent significant amounts of money under Dave Dorn in football. Recruiting budget, all these other things compared to the people he competes against, he's always been playing left-handed. And I've always tried to point that out to people, regardless of whatever my opinion of how Dave doesn't know how to manage the game, particularly in the fourth quarter. I do understand and appreciate that he has had to compete left-handed mostly when it comes to financial commitment. That gets to your larger point about alignment. The price of football is such that you either have to do what Duke silently did post David Cutcliffe, or Carolina has done loudly with Bill Belichick, and that is pour an exorbitant amount into the program and say, you're announcing your presence is what you're doing. You're announcing your intention. Whether you get there or not, you're saying financially, this is what we want to be. We're serious about football. That's what Virginia Tech's doing too. They're saying, we're serious about football. That's what Florida State was trying to do with their lawsuits and everything else. Hey, no matter what we do under this current construct, we'll never be serious about football while we're handcuffed by the ACC. Of course, they're now 0-6 in their last 6 ACC road games. So the rubber meets the road on Friday night in Chapel Hill. Mike Norvell, 0-3 against Dave Doran. All 3 of those losses in his first 3 years, 2021, 22.
Yeah.
I got a question for you, though. Is this a zero-sum binary equation?
In what
if
sense? NC
State beats Florida State on Friday night, does that mean they will lose to Carolina the following Saturday?
No, I'll give you 2 reasons why.
Because that would be my fear. My fear is that NC State only has 1 game left to pour it out. Will they use it on Florida State, or will they use it as Dave traditionally has against Carolina?
All right, so there's two competing reasons why I don't think that's. In previous years, I would agree with you.
Okay,
it's if it happens Friday night, it's not going to happen against Carolina. I get where you're coming from. That's old thinking. Old thinking.
I've been prone to that.
I understand that. But there's 2 things you have not considered. The first one is what happens to North Carolina in this Duke game on Saturday. If
I think North Carolina is going to get blown out of the building.
If they get blown out of the building, then it's all going to unravel for North Carolina and Bill Belichick, and they will be a shell of themselves mentally going into the NC State game.
Okay.
And they'll be offered up on a tee for Dave Doran and NC State. So regardless of what happens Friday night between NC State and Florida State, if Duke sticks it to Carolina, you are going to see a disaster dumpster fire rolling down I-40 to Carter Finley Stadium. Okay. Number 2, this is where we go big brain. What would make life more difficult for Boo Corrigan, AD?
Well, if he wins out.
Yes. So that's kind of what I'm banking on. Once again.
When in doubt.
No, this goes back to 2024. Once again, this could be made easy for Boo Corrigan. Oh, all Kevin Keats has to do is lose to this Louisville game. He's just got to lose this Louisville game on a Tuesday. Just lose up in D.C. on a Tuesday, man. And they looked like
after being down at the house.
And that's what it looked like it was going to happen. That make it really easy for Boo Corrigan to be like, all right, time to go. What happened? Rest is history.
Mm-hmm.
I think the same thing's going to happen. Not to that level, obviously.
Sure.
You got to remember, we got to temper these things for Dave Doran.
Is triangle good?
Yes. They close out with another good triangle, good year, XYZ, and that puts Boo Corrigan in a very tough position. And Dave Doran can go, hey, man, I got 4 years left on my contract. See what I'm getting at? It's kind of where we're at with that. Now, your guess is as good as mine as to what the hell is going to happen on Friday night, because we got two teams that just don't know what they want to be from week to week. I do understand that Florida State's defense is but then again, CJ Bailey can be prone to making mistakes and making life difficult on themselves at NC State. And then offensively, Florida State's in the same boat too. Tommy Castellanos, right out of the gate, put on a show, followed through on his words with Alabama. But since then, this is a Florida State offense that's been up and down, just like NC State's offense has been up and down. So I'm not really all that sure what the hell we're going to get on Friday night between the Wolfpack and the Seminoles. At last check, we have Florida State's 7-point favorite in this game, correct?
Really?
Hold on a second. Let me pull up.
Is the number that big?
I've got so many apps on my dang phone that are all green. I can't. League apps, DraftKings, my banking thing. I have no idea. They're all green. I have no idea what's going on here. Let me pull this up real quick.
Okay.
College football. Let's see what we got with the ACC. We actually have, I stand corrected, 5.5-point favorite. Florida State's a 5.5-point favorite tonight or Friday night against the Wolfpack.
Okay.
Why are you making a face?
Seems really starchy for a team that has not won a road game in the league since 2023.
I understand, but I guess people saw NC State get crushed by Miami as if Florida State's got the same kind of defense that Miami does. No, that's not the case.
I mean, Florida State does have Florida next week. If we're applying my same logic,
yeah,
who would Florida State actually pour it out against? If they're going to pour it out against anybody, it would be next week against a coachless Florida, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we got North Carolina hosting Duke. Duke, a 6.5-point road favorite against the Tar Heels on Saturday, 3:30. We will have an after dark.
I will take the Blue Devils and lay the points.
All right, there you go. Look, we got all sorts of fun stuff on DraftKings. You can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Tonight, we've got an NFL game between the Buffalo Bills and the Houston Texans. They're at Houston. Houston's got a pretty decent defense. CJ Stroud's still hurt, but obviously Buffalo needs to go out there and show you that, no, for real, we are truly Super Bowl contenders. That's what's going to happen tonight, right?
I don't know the number.
5.5-point favorite. Buffalo Bills.
I don't know the record against the number, but Josh Allen, I believe, is 8-0 on Thursday night.
Oh, well, then there you go. As always, the lines, the odds, they're all subject to change. So we've been focusing on the NFL and college football going into the weekend, but NBA season is here as well, and the stars are going off. Rookies are making noise. The action does not stop. You can all find it. You can find it all at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. So don't forget, you've got the NBA Cup coming up. Big moments, big matchups, whole lot on the line. So don't miss out, and you can jump in and bet on that action. And new customers, if you bet just $5, you'll get $200 if your bet wins, paid in bonus bets. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use that promo code OG25. Again, that's OG25. Bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Again, it goes beyond the NBA. We talked about the ACC. We got NFL tonight. I did put that futures down for ECU in the American.
Thank you. HV3 is proud of you too.
Yeah, Harold Varner III getting in our YouTube and our Instagram comments saying, "You damn right, you put $5 down."
Also,
on the Pirates.
HV3, thank you. You were a first round leader at Sedgefield for me on your last year on the tour. So your service is appreciated.
All good stuff. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use that promo code OG25. Bet $5. Get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings. I'm going to do this live. The crown is yours. It's new legal. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, pass-through of per-wager tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. Additional terms at dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. Nailed it!
Housekeeping.
Of course, Housekeeping is brought to you by our friends at Enovana. Check them out online at enovana.com.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean, clean with Enovana.
Hey, look, maybe you got family coming over. You got to get prepped for it, or maybe you're worried about what it's going to look like after the fact. Don't worry. Just call up Enovana. Check them out online at enovana.com. We have the Christmas parade. Starts up at 9:30. We're going to be at State of Beer, broadcasting live on YouTube.
No, I can't let you just skip to the next part.
What's that?
Inavana is the official cleanup and restoration sponsor of the OG.
Everybody needs that. You're right. E-me.
Come on, man.
E-me. We got the Rode mic ready to go. I've got them all. I got them charged up. Actually going to do a test run tomorrow. See how that goes. The actual mic is not in there yet.
Yeah, nobody.
Just saying.
I need to find an extension for it because I really want it to be Bob Barker.
But you're not going to be the one holding it. It's going to be
I know,
his.
but I will be on next.
Oh, that's
week,
right. For the State Carolina game.
potentially.
That's right. For the State Carolina game.
All right, so the
How old is that wine?
it's not fresh.
Jeez. So yeah, we're going to be doing the Raleigh Christmas Parade. Go check them out, or come check us out. We're going to be at State of the Beer. I'll bring stickers. Come say hey. I'll give you a sticker.
I like it better when you say you're going to bring the tin, and then I can make jokes about the tin.
It's in the tin. I got stuff stashed in the tin. Go check that out. In the meantime, go to ogtrianglemediashop.com. Again, that's ogtrianglemediashop.com. That is our winter pop-up shop. The fine folks at Basics have designed and implemented a full zip hoodie, a pullover hoodie, beanies. These bad boys are priced to move. Trust me, we're not really taking in a lot in terms of margins. That's not the point. It's called marketing. It's called marketing.
When I listen back to the podcast and I hear you try to explain to the listener how
we're eating the shipping costs.
how magnanimous you are.
Yes.
This pricing.
I've seen what merch prices are. Have you been to a concert lately?
Hey, that's probably a better way to sell it than trying to convince someone to give you money and be like, no, I could have gotten more from you, sir.
I could have.
But I am so generous that I enlisted in that.
That's right. So take advantage of my generosity in pricing beanies at $25. We're taking a bath on these. They got to move. So go to
If you only knew.
So go to ogtrianglemediashop.com and go buy some stuff. Big thanks to our friends at Longleaf. They've got OG Light at Longleaf Swine. They can also help out with your Thanksgiving catering needs. All you got to do is go to longleafswine.com. Again, that's longleafswine.com. Maybe you got family in town. You want to get the hell out of the house to get outdoor. It's going to be great weather this weekend. Go to Longleaf. It's a good time. Check them out. You've got family coming over. You're doing the big smoking a turkey, using that outdoor kitchen. It's going to get some work. It's probably been worked through the fall with the nice weather. What you need to do is go to ncgrillrescue.com when the holidays are over and get that thing deep cleaned. So check them out, ncgrillrescue.com. Again, that's ncgrillrescue.com. And while the window has closed to get all your delicious ice cream pies, doesn't mean you can't go to Two Roosters and get a pint of ice cream and bring it to whatever festivity you are going to. Trust me, it'll go well with pumpkin pie, chocolate chess pie, Whatever ice cream you get.
Why you're doing it without the voice?
Well, because it's not their pie. It's somebody else's pie.
Okay.
This is only for the ice cream pie
There we go.
and the pumpkin roll pie.
You can actually still
ice
get
cream.
you can still get an ice cream cake, which is an unbelievable party favor for all. Ice cream wise, you know what I did last year and I'm excited about this year?
What's that?
Pint of the Month Club. There's 2 secret flavors every month. And Jared gets a little funky around this time of the year. Last year, it was the green bean casserole, which had
I remember
which
that.
had chocolate covered onions in a green bean ice cream.
I remember that.
This year, I saved the garlic ice cream for Thanksgiving tastings. Garlic ice cream.
I can't have that. I'll be sweating garlic. Can't have that. Trust me on that. Anyway, go to tworoosters.com. Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline is Andrew Jones, Tar Heel 24/7. Andrew, what's going on, man?
What's up, guys? It's been a couple of weeks.
It's been a few weeks. I've been trying to dial it back a little bit. Let's see how this plays out with North Carolina football. But I circled this week because this is the week.
Yeah.
Little Billy's first words, Andrew, were beat Duke. He gets that opportunity on Saturday. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, my first words were "Go O's," and I didn't know who they were, but that's okay.
That's a choice, Andrew. That's a choice.
I mean, come
when it
on.
comes to the Baltimore
Jacob
Orioles.
and I we did our football show. We had a little bit of fun with it. Look, it's like James Franklin gets off the plane. He's got a maroon tie on. We know how the game's played. Brad Brownell's orange blazer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Remember Les Robbins? Well, remember Sydney's red blazer. Joe Giglio, remember Tampa having to get it to the cleaners every day? That damn red blazer was a story in of itself. So I guess beat Duke is too.
That's hey, look, man, you got to play the hits. And this is a rivalry game, so you get judged. You get judged by these rivalry games, and Bill Belichick's got them. He had them stacked. Wake Forest isn't exactly viewed that way, but it does matter here in the Triangle in the Big Four. Yeah. Now he's got Duke and he's got NC State. One of the things that I was curious about, I know you guys just wrote about this over at Tar Heel 24/7, has been offense. I get what's happening defensively. You can see the improvements on defense, even though they gave up a ton of yards on the ground to Wake Forest, but you can see it. Offensively, I haven't really seen much of anything or any sort of consistency, and that's been backed up by what you guys have written out on Tar Heel 24/7. And it doesn't really look like Bill Belichick's all that interested in divulging the whys, the whos, and the whats as to what their offensive game plan is and what their identity is. What can you guys extract about what this identity is?
I think it's don't turn the ball over, number one.
Mm-hmm.
So move the chains, number two. Seriously. The key, and I will say there's one positive, and I asked him about this yesterday about Gio. So I asked him, it's the third time I've asked a Gio question this year about, okay, the first 2 times were what have you not seen from him yet that you saw in film, which is why you brought him in the spring. Now, yesterday, I asked him, it's been 10 games, 9 that he's played. What tangible improvements can you identify?
Mm-hmm.
And he did say decision-making and stuff like that. And I followed up by saying, is one of those decision areas that he's improved in when not to throw the ball? Because he's only thrown an interception in 2 different games since TCU. Now, he threw 2 in each of those games, but he hasn't thrown one in the last 81 passes. Now, of course, you're not going to throw as many interceptions when you're throwing screens and short little dumps and that kind of thing. I get that. But I do think that Gio is making some better decisions about when to not let go of the ball. That's the improvement on offense. I don't know if there's any other improvement. They're playing some different guys on the line. Jordan Hall's a young kid who's now starting at tackle, getting a lot of snaps. So I wouldn't say that's an improvement, but at least if you're thinking about the future, you've got a young guy getting snaps, whereas you go back to the Clemson game which was the week that Lombardi put that stupid email out about 40 freshmen we're building for the future. All 5 offensive linemen played all 64 snaps, and none of them had any eligibility left. So the week of the rebuild email, and then you have 5 dudes who won't be back getting every snap in a blowout loss. So at least they're playing a guy who's going to be back. Miles McVay's getting some snaps, but that's about it. And it's interesting because if there is improvement, you would see it when you get closer to the goal line, the other team's goal line. They ran 17 snaps inside of Wake's 30-yard line last weekend, and they gained a total of 4 yards. So there's been no improvement.
What do you think is the biggest problem on offense? Is it the scheme? Is it the talent? Is it the why are they so, I mean, they're awful. 131 total offense, 123 in scoring, 120th in yards per play. I mean, that the only power conference team worse than them was Wisconsin. So it can't, is it one, the other, both? Why do you think they've struggled so much on that side of the football?
It's not super gifted, although I do think there is some talent there.
I don't know.
I think there's some talent there. I can't imagine that Gio is as bad as he's looked. So if that's the case, you wonder about Matt Lombardi, the quarterback coach. How much progress has Gio really made? He still doesn't go through his checkdowns. You watch it in the game, you watch him, and his eyes are on one dude. 9 starts. He started last year under Major Applewhite, a guy who knows a thing or two about quarterbacking, and here he is still making a lot of the same mistakes. And then you got to go to some play calling with Freddie Kitchens. But I don't know how much – Freddie's an easy scapegoat. Yeah. But if there's not much you can do, then there's not much you can do. And I don't know if that's really more the case than not. They haven't opened things up. Gio can't throw the ball downfield. They can't they can't go deep. They don't consistently run the ball well. But even like last weekend against Wake, they ran the ball pretty well on first down, but then they would go to the pass. They get an 8-yard run, 2nd and 2, and then they go to the pass, put themselves in a 3rd and 2. Then they roll Gio out. Everybody's covered. There's a pass rush. He throws the ball away, and they punt. And you should never punt when you get 8 yards on first down. You shouldn't punt in that sequence. They don't stick with the run enough. They don't stick with the right running backs. Damon June goes for 112 yards at Syracuse, has 83 yards in receptions, had a 72-yard screen pass for a touchdown. The next week against Stanford, he gets 11 snaps.
Yeah.
And they prop him up as the running back. He's our guy. And then next thing you know, he's not even on the field. Madrid Tucker against Virginia basically has the red shirt taken off, 9 targets, 8 receptions. He's been targeted once since then. So I think the lack of consistency with personnel usage is a big part of it because guys can't get things rolling. They can't get into a groove. Bill explains it as sort of the chess piece mentality, or maybe the war mentality where we've got to have this artillery against their artillery, specific artillery. But that might work a little bit in the NFL. It doesn't work in college because there's such massive talent discrepancies with guys. If you got a few dudes who can move the ball for you.
All right, you've lost Giglio. You've lost Giglio.
I'm trying to explain it. I'm doing the best I can. I think that's the way Bill sees it.
What are you cracking up about?
Just the way he said it. It's just,
yeah.
I mean, if you're going to go uphill
in Bill's brain,
yeah.
You know, like I'm with you on Tucker. I watched the Virginia game and I was like, I don't know who this Munchkin is, but they like him.
Yeah.
Apparently they like him. And then, you know, he didn't make the play at the end there, the interception that goes off his hands, which should have been a big play for him and a big play for Lopez, actually one of the rare shots that he took downfield. So you're hinting at it.
He was late on that release.
Sure. You're hinting at it. Who do you suspect? And I know it's a big ask, but who do you suspect they keep? And who do you suspect they can actually build off of from this group, or will it be another hard reset for them next year?
I think it's going to be a hard reset, guys. What I'm hearing from more than a dozen sources that they have 72 players right now who have eligibility remaining that can come back, and way more than half of them. So you have to replace the spots. They're committed to 105 scholarships to using all of them. So if they had 70 new players this year, and you're losing 35 to 40 scholarship kids that can come back, plus you're bringing in 40 freshmen, you're looking at 80 new guys.
Yeah.
Against one of the toughest schedules in the country next year. So it's hard to look forward and say that it's not going to be more of the same.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that whatever decisions are made, that has to be factored into it. Because you didn't pay for 2-year rebuild. You didn't really pay for a 1-year rebuild. You paid to beat TCU. Honestly, you paid for the first touchdown, first drive, and then everything's gone off over a cliff since then. But
Yeah.
You didn't pay for a 2-year one. Is Lombardi going to send that email from a crappy typewriter in mid-October next year too, after they're 1-4? I'm making a joke, but I'm also being serious because
I know you're being
that's kind of where we are with things right now. I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel right now.
So where is the disconnect then? And I'm sure you see this on the boards. I know I've seen it from some Carolina fans who are listeners, or I'll see it in our social media channels in the comments and you just hit the nail on the head. I think the reason why I was laughing was because that's exactly what you paid for. We're coming off this Wake Forest game, and you're seeing where Wake Forest is under Jake Dicker. And I'm seeing excuses being used about, well, Jake Dicker got to bring players with him, and there was some retention from the old Wake Forest team. And I'm thinking to myself, these were all decisions that were made by Mike Lombardi and Bill Belichick. It's not like Mac Brown left the cupboard bare at UNC that they could have retained some guys. We've talked about this. We talked about this in the summer, that they decided to bring in their guys that they felt were tough enough for them. And this is a point that Giglio made during the After Dark last Saturday, is that the real mistake was deciding to transform your roster in the spring rather than working with what you have. The question here is, do you believe that this staff under Belichick has learned lessons from their first year? Let's say it's a practice season, all things considered. Have they learned the lessons and are willing to apply said lessons so that next year we don't have this kind of stuff?
Yeah, I can't say definitively because I'm not in the room, but Bill did acknowledge 2 weeks ago that, hey, we've learned some things.
Yeah.
That's a lot for him to say.
Yeah.
Because he generally doesn't go there. So I would lean on, they've learned some stuff, but is it enough?
Mm-hmm.
And you go back to last year, and the MAC guys, they had a quarterback who wanted to come back. He told them he'd be fourth team. He wanted to get his master's in Chapel Hill and be a part of the program. And I think anybody watching would say he'd be a better option than what they have right now. And they told him no. So I think right now there is no such thing as MAC guys, Bill guys. At the end of the season, they're all Bill guys, right?
Right.
So if that was an issue, that won't be an issue. I also think that they did get a late start. They deserve a little bit of a mulligan. They got a late start, but he exacerbated the problem because he didn't have a staff ready.
Mm-hmm.
It took him way too long to build a staff. So you're talking to kids in the portal. Hey, you're going to play for Bill Belichick. Yeah, but who's going to be my position coach?
Right.
If I'm going to go there for a year and my investment is to get to the NFL, well, who's going to spend every day with me? He's not going to do it. I know he's hands-on, but he cannot be hands-on in all groups at all times. So I think they took too long. They sort of lost the winner. They started slapping some guys in the books just to have bodies. And they realized through spring that a lot of those guys weren't going to help them too much. So I think they should have learned from that. But let's remember, they got their quarterback in the spring. They had months and months to evaluate potential guys that would be in the portal. And they had Ryan Brown right in front of them. And they haggled with money with him. And he decided to go back to Purdue. They could have given him more money and kept him. And I think he would be probably a better option right now based on what we've seen. So I would say that how can you not learn? They're at least there now. At least kids will know who they're going to play for. The portal's been pushed back a little bit, but I'm telling you guys, the portal entry date means nothing in January.
Okay.
All that stuff's going to take place in December. It's all going to take place illegally. The portal's going to happen. Kids are going to enter, and they're going to be in a new school in 24 hours.
Gotcha. So,
I've already been told that half the lockers will be empty within 36 hours after the NC State game.
Okay. I guess let me follow up to that. How abnormal is that in relation to other college football programs?
Probably not at all now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think that's important. Like, we can focus, because I think it's interesting, following the Clemson game, And this is kind of the reason why I wanted to catch up with you, because a lot's happened since the Clemson game and where we are today. And it looked like everything was falling apart, right? And then things seem to have calmed down. They all got on the same page after the dual statement from Bubba Cunningham and Bill Belichick, where it didn't really say much of anything, but there's your statement. Things have calmed down. They've been in close games. They won games they should win, like the Stanford game and the Syracuse game and whatnot. And you haven't really seen any sort of the off the field stuff, except this week, right? Going into the Duke game. So I think they've done a good job of keeping that to the side. I give the players a lot of credit for not having this entire thing fall apart when it easily could have. So what is the assessment of how things are right now with the last 2 weeks of the season, with needing to win these 2 games to get to a bowl in Bill Belichick's first year?
I'm going to give some of the staff the credit as well, because I think the messaging in the building's changed a little bit. So we've seen signs of them learning some things. So to answer your previous question, I would imagine they've learned a lot, but is it enough?
Mm-hmm.
And with next year's schedule and with the turnover they're still going to have, is it enough? And is it what you're paying for? Really comes down to the ultimate question. But these last 2 weeks, you can say that there's a potential that this is a tinderbox if things don't go well, because there's a lot of stuff still behind the scenes. And I've told our readers that, and I'm not going to get into specifics. Some of them say, well, you're just throwing innuendo and rumors out there. I'm not throwing rumors out there. I'm just telling you there's a lot of stuff, but there's a lot of stuff in every program, and often it doesn't come out. No program is – how the basketball team's been a glorious thing, and they had a players-only meeting the other night, because that's where we are now in sports and just in nature in our society, where things can go bad quickly, and then things can also get fixed quickly. I think that these last 2 games, if they go really well, we're not going to hear a lot of this stuff. Guys will still move on. They still don't like the environment. They're going to go seek somewhere else, but guys are doing that everywhere anyway. Mm-hmm. And if it goes really poorly, then we're going to hear more negatives come out. A lot of the stuff that I know of that I haven't reported, or maybe isn't fully vetted, which is why I haven't reported it, I might end up being able to get multiple other sources on if I want to report those things. It's just, I think for a lot of us, and you guys have been in this for a long time, not everything has to be reported.
True.
And not everything needs to be reported. And I think in this situation here, it just depends on what happens with the staff. It depends on what the university decides to do. And if they get waxed these last 2 games, I think there's a decision to be made, especially with all the stuff that's going to come out again. Because the reality is this, and I was going to do a podcast next week or after the NC State game about this, but you're going to go 8 months with no games to get in the way of the flow of information.
I got you.
And the flow of information is not going to stop, guys.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the value? What's the benefit to the university in that flow and having that flow of information constantly out there?
Well, that's what hurt them this offseason, because they didn't provide any information. So they thought, oh, well, no one will talk about us. Wrong.
But Joe, at least they had, hey, as long as we win games.
Yeah. You have
they can't point to that now.
Right. I'm going to ask you a crazy question, given everything you just said. Bill Belichick's background, college-wise anyway, from his dad, is at the Naval Academy. And Tom O'Brien was better at playing his rival than any coach I've come across. And that was truly ingrained in him at the Naval Academy, I would guess, in part from Steve Belichick. That, you get on campus in Annapolis and your first words truly are beat Army. Mm-hmm. And Tom had that, instilled that pathos in his players. Is there any chance that Bill has any of that in him, that rivalry, singular focus on beating your rival and ingraining in your players the importance of these games?
Yeah, I covered Tom a lot when he was at State, and I agree with you. It's just that he shouldn't have punted the ball to Gio.
Hey, he's doing 5-1 against them, so. Yeah,
it's true. And he had the 1-yard Hail Mary too. Yeah, I covered Tom, and I get that. And that's interesting. I asked Bill yesterday about rivalries and about how he approaches it, because a college rivalry is different than a pro rivalry. He said, well, we had him in the AFC East. And I get that. That's not the same thing.
Right.
I don't think anybody's walking around the Patriots facility in June saying, got to beat the Jets this year. But it happens in college facilities. So it's a far more personal. It's really a part of the DNA in college. And I think we'll find out. They did not meet Wake's intensity last weekend. Wake approached that game as a rivalry. Carolina did not. It was obvious from the first snap.
Mm-hmm.
If they do not match Duke's rivalry intensity on Saturday, they're going to get steamrolled. And a lot of that is the coach's job. But here's a coach from talking to players who were in the room before a game. Okay, guys, let's go get them. I mean, there's none of this Rudy speech inside the Notre Dame locker room to get them all riled up to go win a game, to go run through a wall. You hear the old stories about that coach. I'll run through a wall for that coach.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people are running through a wall for Bill Belichick. Maybe in the NFL he knows how to communicate that, but college it's a different type of communication, as we've seen. And I think that's been one of the biggest weaknesses in this program, is having the right kind of communication with these kids. So I don't know. We'll find out Saturday. I'm very interested in it. I think that's a great point you make about Tom O'Brien understanding that. And and the proof was in the pudding too. And he did that when he was at BC too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Notre Dame.
They used to beat Notre Dame. And they also beat Syracuse. So I think it'll be really interesting. If Carolina does play well and they're physical, more physical than they've been, and they win a lot of stuff at the line of scrimmage, that'll be a great question to ask them after the game and ask the players.
Duke, I'll say this about Duke. I think Manny Diaz set the tone for the Blue Devils this year when he said that they were the architects of their own demise in the Illinois game. That's been a constant through line for this Blue Devils team. You go to that UConn game where you're like, guys, you keep making mistakes and you keep finding ways to beat yourself. So that to me gives North Carolina an absolute chance. I get that they have Darian Mensah, but he's been a little up and down here and there.
Really?
That's a defense that you should theoretically be able to move the ball on. And again, they make their own special teams mistakes. So it is going to be, to me, who's going to make the fewest amount of mistakes in this game. But what ends up kind of tilting it in the favor of Duke is that I know we got the outline of North Carolina somewhere in that football facility. That's an old Mac Brown dry erase board with the state of North Carolina, right? That's an old one.
Yeah.
And he came in and he made his own pig.
He did. He created his own trophy.
He created his own trophy for this game, for these
That
state
respect,
games.
man.
So I was like, oh, okay, that gets back to your mindset. So it'll be, I don't doubt Duke will be ready for this game. You said to transition off from football for the time that we have left for you. I think Joe and I would run through a wall for Caleb Wilson at this point. I mean, that man's a content machine. And you know how we love a content machine in our business.
Yes,
I am ready to do Caleb. All right, let's go. I'm in. He's been a breath of fresh air for UNC basketball this season, man.
Giglio, you'll appreciate this. In the 5 regular season home games and the exhibition game, I've made sure that somebody on my staff is with him the entire time in post game.
Perfect. As he should be.
And because you got to be there because something's coming out. The Kansas game, when he said that he was offended by how Kansas went through the layup line, so he wanted to kill him.
Love it.
That's just great stuff. But you know what, though? I think it's real. That's what makes it pretty cool, is that he kind of backs it up, and it's real fuel. It's not just fake fuel.
Mm-hmm.
It's real fuel. And I think right now what you saw the other night is some of the teammates didn't match the fuel. And there were some issues. There was some finger pointing on the court. There was some whining and bickering, and it's going to happen. I think that part of it is that you had the exhibition game and then 5 straight home games. They should have been on the road. They should have played Navy on the road or something like that, just to get out of Chapel Hill, break the monotony. Even the fan turnout wasn't very good because they had a bunch of games against nobodies in 3 weeks. So you're not going to be that inspired. Now we're really going to find out. They're going to get tested. I'll be in Fort Myers. St. Bonaventure is not going to be a cakewalk at all. It's going to be a physical team, probably a good guard play. Michigan State, we just saw what they just did. So this club's going to get tested before Seth comes back. And I think what's interesting is when Seth comes back, does he have to lift them up or does he enhance where they are? And I think that will determine where this team is at the end of the year. Because if he has to lift them up, it's like they're starting over in late December. If he enhances where they are, they can take off and they can have a really, really good season. I think the parts are there to have that really good season, but there were red flags the other night. 45 minutes played by the bench against Navy. Mm-hmm. That's terrible. That's not why you bring Navy in. Radford to beat them by 15, and then they go lose to South Carolina by 30. That's not why you bring them in. You bring them in to get Zayden Hyde 20 minutes. You bring them in to get Jonathan Powell 25 minutes and get those guys going. And instead, you need Caleb to ignite the team in the second half against Navy to beat them. Yeah. And then they allow that 15-0 run, which I said in the podcast the other day, and I wrote it, that was the 3 worst minutes of Carolina basketball I've ever seen in person. It was terrible. It was unbelievable. So
there's a lot.
I think they have a chance to be really, really good. I like the parts. I like the kids. I do think there's good chemistry. I think it's a positive when you win by 12 and you have a players-only meeting. That means those kids understand there's a standard and that they have to take control.
Yeah. That's why I didn't get, I said this on the podcast after that game and those reports of the players only meeting came out. I'm like, typically people think it's like, oh my goodness, they're hitting the panic button. What's going on? I'm like, no, I think that's the players taking some accountability. And also the way that Hubert Davis was reacting to the players only meeting. He was like, yeah, I mean, I didn't have to say anything. Here we are. Let's go.
Yeah.
So
Hubert walked in the press conference laughing and all smiles.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. I think Hubert clearly likes this group. He likes the energy of Caleb Wilson. So I guess we'll close on this. I'm with you on, I mean, that second half was a slog. Maybe the energy of the building, the opponents, you're just trying to get through this. I get all that kind of stuff. What is the thing that is ultimately lacking so far 5 games into this season? We've talked about this with NC State. We've talked about this with Duke. You have your clear star players. Who's going to be the supporting cast that steps up with them? So what is the biggest issue right now for UNC basketball?
I think they just got some guys that are in the midst of a process that are trying to figure stuff out. Kyan Evans is trying to figure out whether he's supposed to score much or be a playmaker or a game manager. Luka is adapting to the way defense is played. He said they didn't play defense like this in the Adriatic League, which we kind of knew. There's not many 6'7" guys with 7-foot wingspans that are going to come guard you on the perimeter in the Adriatic League.
Yeah.
When you drive to the lane, you don't have the help side defense in the Adriatic League that he saw the other night, even from Navy, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of adapting. I think more than anything, it's just a process. I don't really know what the weaknesses are. I suspect there's some things that are a little bit concerning. They do not get enough off of their offensive rebounds. They're not scoring. They had 6 second chance points on 16 offensive boards against Kansas. They were 18 offensive boards and 17 second chance points against Central, and they were really bad the other night against Navy. That's a statistic that is typically a strong statistic for North Carolina. The great Carolina teams dominate on the offensive glass. This club wants to grab about 42% of their misses. They're at about 32% right now against some bad competition. Mm-hmm. So how's that going to translate against St. Bonaventure, Michigan State, Kentucky, and Georgetown that they have coming up? We'll find out a lot more in that area. So if they're not very efficient at scoring second chance points, they're going to have to find other ways to get those points. And you can't always rely on 3-point shooting. I don't know how many fast break points you're going to generate against really good teams by getting steals and stuff. So we're still in the feeling out process, in my opinion. We got to see where Luka is in a month. We got to see where Kyan Evans is in a month, and then how Seth slots back in. And I also think that Hubert may not know yet who his closing 5 is when Seth is healthy. Mm-hmm. Is Jaren Stevenson on the floor? You know, Jaren does a lot of nice things for the team, but one of the things I've noticed the last couple of games, he seems more athletic as a defender at the 3 than as an offensive player at the 3. He doesn't have that 3 dribble, get by you, go into the lane and score move. And you kind of need that from your 3 some. So I think your closing lineup very well could be Luka, Seth, it could be Jaren or maybe Kyan out there, and then Caleb and Henry. He's going to have to decide. Do you go 3 guards? Do you go 3 bigs? So I think it's going to take time. It's going to take results, and they're going to have to see what they are against different types of competition. They're still very much a work in progress.
Andrew Jones, Tar Heel 24/7. It's a daily stop for me in the morning while I'm sipping my coffee. Andrew does great work. We appreciate you coming on, and I don't know. It's going to be an interesting couple of weeks over in that football facility. I'm looking forward to it.
Hey, we're about the storyline, aren't we?
Yes. Hey, I root for content. People always go, oh, you guys are this or that. No. I root for one thing and one thing only.
Content.
The content, because it helps the show. All right, Andrew, we'll talk to you later, man.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Always enjoy our conversations with Andrew Jones over at Tar Heel 24/7. Go support him if you're a Tar Heel fan. Go get the sub. I think they're running a sale right now. Speaking of saving money, may I introduce you to
Oh, that was lazy.
what?
Speaking of better rates. Speaking of no cost loans.
Hey, do you want more? Do you want a higher success rate than Carolina's red zone offense? May I suggest you contact Miller Lending today?
Would you like to score more than 3 touchdowns against a Division I team this year? Well, I
Here's
know
how
who
you do
can.
it. Here's how you do it. Contact our friends at Miller Lending. Check them out online, millerlending.com, or call them directly at 919-447-3377. Here's the thing about Miller Lending. You might find yourself in a situation where you don't want to move and you're reluctant to do things because you've had this interest rate for a long time and the rates are a little bit higher. Here's the thing about working with Miller Lending. You don't pay closing costs. So as the rates go up and down or your situation changes, you can refinance again and you're not sweating it like you've got some like, oh, I paid all these closing costs. I have this like break even thing. Don't worry about that stuff because you don't pay closing costs with Miller Lending. Typically, people refinance about every 4 years. On average, it takes about 8 years to break even on the closing costs.
On average, it will take Carolina's offense 27 years. Like, it's funny. People think you go hard on Carolina.
Yeah.
People think, or whatever they think of this year about people talking about Carolina. Do you know how impossible it is to go an entire college football season without scoring 4 touchdowns against a Division I team?
But people want to
Like,
hear.
do you know how impossible that is?
Joe, people want to hear about everything.
Joe,
it's all good.
Joe,
You're not going to drag me into negativity.
Joe, they have a $20 million roster.
You're not going to know.
And they can't score 4 touchdowns against a Division I opponent.
No, Joe, I do some self-scouting and I'm not going to be negative. I'm not going to be dragged into your negativity around Carolina.
That's not negativity. That's a fact.
People don't like facts either. I can tell you what is a fact. Doing your own blinds, that sucks.
There we go.
Okay?
Much better.
Facts only. Trying to hang your own blinds.
Dead talk.
Just
some of that better music.
I've tried. It sucks. And then it breaks. You got a big old dog or something like that. They break the blinds. You got family coming over. They're going to judge you.
Maniscalco's not ready for this.
No, he's not. By the way. Well, yeah, because you're 2 claws in. I'll explain here in a second. So go to Bloom and Blinds.
I'm 1 claw in. This has not been open.
Okay.
Thank
so
you.
go to bloomandblinds.com. Call them directly at 919-980-9815. 10 or more window treatments, you're going to get 10% off. Look, it might be a rowdy Thanksgiving. I don't know what happens with your family. Maybe you break a blind. I don't know. But call Chris and the crew, and they'll make sure it gets fixed.
Maybe there's a cockroach
bloomandblinds.com
that you try to kill.
Well, you know what, Joe? You wouldn't have cockroach problems if you contacted our friends at bugsbite.com. Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority.
Are we in South Florida? This whole cockroach thing.
What? You don't have roaches? You've not seen a roach in your house? In the summertime, I'll get a roach in my house from time to time. Usually, I got every bug going, but usually
you lose me when you talk about the cockroach.
Usually, I don't do anything about it because the cats love the cockroaches. It's like a toy for them.
I don't.
They bat them around, all that kind of fun stuff.
Is that a moisture issue?
They're roaches. They're going to be here after us, man.
Hey, you know this.
I don't know. So go to bugsbite.com and take care of those roaches. And let's just say, look, man, the house is too far gone. It's time for a new one.
The cockroaches.
They took over. They live here now.
Overrun.
They live here now. So you got to move. Call up Hometown
You got
Realty.
mice and snakes.
Contact myhtr.com. You can buy and sell with confidence. Again, check them out online at myhtr.com. Mike, I don't know why you agree to join us on this podcast, but we appreciate you. Mike Maniscalco, Canes play-by-play, joining us on the Heister Automotive Group Hotline, and he's brought to you by Brassfield Accounting.
Speaking of which, we owe him for November.
Oh yeah,
yeah. We'll get to that. I mean, right now I'm in Winnipeg, and after listening to, by the way, outstanding radio segue after segue to hit the sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just say, hanging your own blinds sucks. They're never, ever even, ever. No matter what tools you buy, how you hang them, and then you think you have it right in that one little piece of drywall that you nicked and didn't think about, then the whole thing comes tumbling down and you get judged. It's not a cockroach, Giglio. It's a palmetto bug in the South, as I have been told. So it's a completely different yet similar thing.
Actually, gotcha.
We got into Winnipeg. Oh, what's that?
Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry. You're in Winnipeg.
Oh no, we got into Winnipeg at 3 a.m. And I didn't, because the NHL has a really good idea to have a Central team and an Eastern team play at basically 9 o'clock Central, which is a really good thing for everybody who's out there. So when we get to Winnipeg and it's 30 degrees outside, nice. It's balmy for Winnipeg. Yeah, and then I get a text as I just fell asleep at 4:30 in the morning. A text going, "You good around 1 o'clock today? Our time, your time."
It's text.
Well, it's
hey, put your phone on silent when you're trying to get some sleep, Mike.
Oh, Mike.
I when I am out of town, I have it on vibrate or buzz. Let's not use vibrate for a word. The way this show's been going today,
do what you do, Mike.
And it fell off of the nightstand.
My phone to go off the nightstand in the hotel room, and it woke him up.
You know what's
my fault all the way, because I got one of those fancy new iPhone 17 Pros, and I bought the case with the stand in it, so now I can stand it up and use it as a clock, because some of the rooms now don't have clocks. So it's me. I'm just describing my situation in life.
Even more difficult is taking care of the business that you don't want to take care of.
What a transition.
What Brassfield accounting is for. Fractional CFO. What does that mean? Bookkeeping, billing and invoicing, HR, and payroll. HR. Can you imagine if we had more than 2 employees and we had HR?
Oh, we'd forget it.
I can't even tell the Angie HR stories.
Yeah, let's not. Let's avoid that. Speaking of transitions, speaking of fractional, it's like we've had a fractional Canes team a good chunk of this season. So let's go to the OG Sports phone, shall we? Because this is the best way to set up where we're going with Maniscalco.
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports phone and curse or don't.
Before you play that call, if you would like to be the new sponsor for the OG Sports phone, send me an email, giglio.show@gmail.com.
Mr. Businessman.
In December, we need a new sponsor for the OG Sports phone.
Let's go to a 919.
Hey, guys. Scott in Wake Forest. I think like a lot of people, I went to bed after the first period because Freddie was not looking good. The power play looked even worse. But, hey, I wake up to they scored a point on the road. I think we're in first place now. I think they scored 3 goals 5-on-5 against a team that hadn't given up a 5-on-5 goal in 4 games. All in all, I'll take it on to Winnipeg. But hey, we're still going to complain because that's who we are.
I really thought, Mike, that was a perfect call that encapsulates most of the sentiment around Canes fans and this season. It's like complain. The power play, somebody's got to get fired. Oh my goodness, all the injuries. And yet, and I'll admit, I was just like the caller after they got scored on twice. I went, all right, making my night easy. So I'm going to bed. And I saw they pulled out a point. But that kind of encapsulates where the Canes are right now. They somehow, some way have clawed their way to atop the Metro Division over the New Jersey Devils. And we have not seen their whole team all season long.
I think that's the important part to add into that phone call with all of the angst that is around it. Oh, by the way, yeah, we're in first place. I guess that's good. But here's really the bigger problem with everything. And that's why I don't want to go back to the Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay where he told everybody to relax, and he spelled relax, because I don't like to mimic many things that Aaron Rodgers has done of late. But just relax. It's 20 games into the season. The team is in first place. And as you just mentioned, Joe, it's been a fraction of the team. We really haven't seen the full complement, or at least when we thought we saw the full complement of the Carolina Hurricanes, they weren't all operating at 100%. See Jacob Slavin the first 2 games of the season. So how they keep winning is it's a product of Rod Brindamore, how they play, the system that they play, the buy-in that they've gotten from all of the players. But 5-on-5, this is as good of a team as you're going to find in the National Hockey League. You've got to think that at some point, because I think people are forgetting last year that the power play started off hot as a pistol.
Yep.
And then it cooled off at the wrong time. I'm not going to sit here and bring out pom-poms. Yeah, it's an issue that the power play is 31st in the league right now. It really is, because a game like that last night, if your power play is, even operating at 23%, not 13%, you might win that game, outright. You might not have to go to overtime. But, the goals that Freddie gives up, the Zuccarello goal, it's a breakaway. Shorthand, you got players running into each other. What are you going to do? These things are going to happen. And I know it's 5-hole. We can poke at all of this stuff, but I don't want to throw out that Colorado performance that Frederick Anderson had, where he stole the 2 points against the Colorado Avalanche, period. And look, you're getting good enough goaltending from everybody to be in these games. So what I saw last night, yeah, they got off to a terrible start, but this team is never out of a game. Like, every game they've lost this year, you can make the case that they could have won, or they were in position to at least get a point. So that's the thing about this team that is remarkable to me, that they just have that resilience. They don't play to the scoreboard. They just keep playing their game.
The Eastern Conference, what a mess.
Oh.
Like, I'm just looking at the Atlantic right now. That's the look on my face. I'm sorry, Detroit is in
yeah.
Atlantic. I'm sorry. What? Like, so just tread the water. Seriously, just keep treading it. Keep winning and getting some points where you can. Getting Keandre Miller back on this trip's been good. When's Chatfield coming back, Mike?
He's on the trip, right?
He actually joined the team in Minnesota. He didn't fly out to Boston. He joined us in Minnesota. And there was a chance he could have played last night. I think we're going to see him in Winnipeg tomorrow night. He joined us on the Hurricanes radio network, Joe's. Important to note that last night. And we asked him about it, and he was talking about how he was feeling better, but get to the point where you really feel 100%. And that's, I think, the thing with all of these injuries, that the Canes have had this luxury. I was saying it before the game last night when they had 19 games. Now I'll do it when they have 20. If they were 10-10, the urge for Jalen Chatfield to get back in the lineup last night would have been much greater. The urge of, is Jacob Slavin healthy enough? Like, whatever the timetable is for Jacob Slavin, and I don't think there is one, and I don't think there needs to be one. But if this team was 500, maybe there's a greater urge to be like, okay, can you play, or how close are you to be ready to play? Not saying that I've heard anything from the training staff on it. I'm just saying the fact that this team is winning, you can rest these players. And you found Joel Nystrom. And here's a guy who was not on anybody's radar because he had an injury last year, and then he was playing in Sweden, and he comes over late, and now he's showing you that he can play minutes. I mean, he's playing next to Keandre Miller, which is, do you want to say that that's the top pair, or Walker and Goss's pair is the top pair? However you want to work it out. But he's shown that he can play here in the NHL. So with the injuries, I'm going to go, the one silver lining is you found a whole bunch of guys that you can look into the system and play and say, okay, we're much deeper than we originally thought we were as an organization, if you're Eric Tulsky and company.
Puts glasses on, takes notes. Heard Rod talk with our friend Adam Gold last week about Alexander Nikishin. I feel like Rod has some old school Bud Kilmer energy when it comes to Nikishin. He will not compliment that motherfucker no matter what happens. So tell me your opinion of what you've seen from the young Ruski. He has conspicuous talent. But what do you think?
First off, I don't want your life, Giglio.
I want your
life.
Oop-de-oop. What the hell is an oop-de-oop?
I think that the plan all along this season, and I hate to use the word shelter for a player who has, and we've seen the talent that's on display, but I think the plan was to just bring him along slowly, because the buildup of him coming over was, this is a test tube baby of the greatest defenseman in NHL history, and he should be on the ice and be that guy right away. And there is a learning curve, guys, from the KHL, which is a fine league. It really is, but it's not the NHL. And the language is still an issue. Yes, is he getting better at understanding it? Sure.
Mhm.
But that's the one position where really you have to communicate in the NHL, where you talk to your partner and the goalie talks to you and the wingers will let you know what's going on. And he's got to pick that up.
I don't know how hard it is, Mike. I mean, we got an 18-year-old out here breaking records. Like, how hard could it be?
Well, but the 18-year-old is from North America, right?
America.
I know.
You know, I mean, I need to put all of that into perspective for these things, because he's also playing. It's a different ice surface, and they want him to play in the system. And I know that is a frustrating thing for fans that are out there. Like, no, just let these guys do. Well, if you let everybody, let me go to the movie Reservoir Dogs. If everybody picks their own name, we have 20 Mr. Blacks running around in our organization. You know, that's why it works that way. So,
I thought you were going to talk about Madonna lyrics. Anyway,
no, I'm not. But I'm going to go into the more important part of this.
No.
Yeah. Well, no, you can't. But that's why I don't believe in tipping. The other side of this, though, is they just want to bring him along, and when it's all figured out for him, because that's the thing. He's still trying to figure out the NHL game. There are guys who hit him in the NHL. Nobody really hit him in the KHL.
Yeah.
Right. How do you react to that?
Blown up though, Mike, with no Chatfield, no Miller, no Slavin. Where I was coming from, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Rod, when I heard the answer from Rod, it was, well, there's a lot of things he's still doing wrong. I'm paraphrasing, but I feel like he was being a difficult grader when it came to Nikishin.
Yeah.
I actually think Nikishin's been pretty good on the level in this situation that he's been in, to the point where maybe the reason you can survive without all these other guys is because the Ruski playing the way that he is. Well, and Ghost has been off the charts.
Yep.
You know me. I love Ghost.
No, and Sean Walker is the guy who nobody's been talking about, who I know he's not getting a ton of points, but if I had to vote for a team MVP through the first 20 games, it's Sean Walker. Guy goes from
you got to do the Men in Black thing for the Vancouver game. That's all. Because when I go, the poison for these players is always like, when did Giglio see them? Did he see their worst moments?
Yeah. I forget that in an 82 game schedule you can't have a bad game. I forget that. That's my bad. You. But you know, it's the thing with watching a player like Alexander Nikishin, the highs and the highlights are unbelievable. I mean, they are like, oh my God, these are plays that a handful of guys in the league can make at that position. Literally, I am not trying to dress that up anymore. But then there are things where if you go back and watch as a whole, he's not where he should be at certain times. He's jumping up in the play when maybe he shouldn't be. You know, it's those little things that once he figures out all of that, the highs are going to get even higher for his playmaking ability and what he's going to do. And then they did give him that time, Giglio. They gave him a few weeks back. He was playing 20 minutes and showing that he can play at that level. Look, I'm not the coach. I'm not Tim Gleason. I'm not Rod Brindamore. Those guys know more hockey and you know, their pinky fingers than I know. But I can tell you that and it's always the thing when we talk about coaching, these guys want to win games. And if they feel that this guy would give them the best chance in another position, they let him get more minutes. They put him in that. I think that, again, everything we talk about, guys, any hand-wringing, any eye-rolling, any of the consternation that the fan base has, it's fine right now. And I'd much rather have it as opposed to the apathy that used to be there around the Carolina Hurricanes. But everything they're doing is to build this team to be at their absolute best by the end of the season. That's what all of this is about.
We'll close on this. Jackson Blake back home, 2 goals. It's funny. I was back in Minneapolis in January of this year during the Four Nations break. I was out there for a hockey tournament.
Of course you were.
And on the way,
why else would you?
Why else would I do that? On the way back,
play the sounder.
On the way back, Jackson Blake was on the flight back to Raleigh. And to me, out of the context, I just see, well, I guess this kid's going back. I guess maybe he was in a hockey tournament. He just looked like a young hockey player, nondescript young hockey player, right? Because hockey players have a particular look about them. Of course, the kids immediately recognized it off the bat. They're like, it's Jackson Blake. He was very, very cool. He got his picture. They were taking pictures and everything else. And you forget how young this dude is.
Uh-huh.
And it's really clear when he's out of uniform. He looks like a baby. And yet, there's so much promise there. And I'm like, I don't know what his overall ceiling is, but damn, man. Last night was another example. Of course, you're doing it in front of how many people did he have there last night?
Oh, and my guess would be upwards of 50. We're talking about friends and family and everybody who would show up there.
So, it's great that he's doing that in front of friends and family and things like that. But I'm just watching guys like him. I'm watching guys like Logan Stankoven. I'm looking at their contracts, and I'm just like, damn, man. This is good stuff for the Carolina Hurricanes. And again, I don't know what his overall ceiling is going to be, but he's a hell of a lot of fun to watch right now.
Well, it's funny because I had a lot of people in the offseason when that deal got done with Jackson Blake, around the league go, really? And I'm like, yeah, this is an organization that they try to get in front of it instead of wait, and then you have to pay for what a guy has done. This is a bunch of stock traders that are trying to buy low instead of gait for it to go public. They want to get in on it now. Blake showed him enough last year after the Christmas break because he was slowing down. And Giglio, maybe it was the flight with Ovies that really spurred him in the second half.
And they're like, damn it, there's Giglio.
There you go.
Worse, they see me on a flight. That's all good.
Or he, refreshed himself in the purifying waters of Lake Minnetonka.
There is that. They were frozen, unfortunately, at that time. So
you find a way to drill through. Just ask Prince. Still one of the best skits of all time from Chappelle's Show. But his skill and his work ethic, and I think that's the thing why he and Logan Stankoven have made such a good pairing right now. And then you put Nikolai Ehlers with them, where you've got the veteran who can, hey, all right, we're not going to be able. You guys don't really have the, ability to carry it in yourself right now. Give it to me. I'll do it. And then you get in there and do what you do. Be dogs on pucks and go get them. And the funny thing and Ovies, you've seen it, and you'll see it as your kids progress in hockey. And Giglio, you've seen it, tons when you talk about players developing. When you get just a year older, how much stronger you get from like 21 to 22 or 22 to 23. And what these guys do and how Billy Burnison, the head strength and conditioning coach, puts them through. But what these guys do in the off season now to put themselves in that position. And Blake is so damn smart when it comes to hockey. I hate going to the high hockey IQ, but he just really thinks the game well and puts himself into spots. And he could have won the game last night in overtime. I gather both of you guys went to bed.
I went to bed,
but he has a breakaway move. He comes in and Jesper Wallstedt, who evidently is now possessing Henrik Lundqvist as the next great Swede goalie for the run he's on, makes an incredible save. But with Blake, he is only going to get better because he's only going to get bigger. Like what you said, Joe, when you see him in the locker room, people are like, really? This is it? But he's stronger than what he looks. It's kind of like that Logan Stankoven thing where I keep saying, don't mistake small with height for being a player in the league. But yeah, he is only going to get better. And he went 17-17 last year, goals and assists for 34. He should run right past that. Hell, he might even be past that by the time we get to January this year, the way he's playing.
We're going to start calling Logan Stankoven low-key thick. I think that's just what we're going to do. Mike Maniscalco, Canes play-by-play.
You got to put that on a T-shirt. Hashtag.
I'll send it off to our friends at Breaking Tea. We'll see. Because again,
Mike, shit, I do this for a living.
Okay, Dave Jordan. Mike Maniscalco, Canes play-by-play is brought to you by Brassfield Accounting. Check them out online, brassfieldaccounting.com. All right, Mike, I will make sure that
don't be texting Mike.
I'm not going to be texting
in the middle of the morning.
What time did I text?
He doesn't even get up that early.
It was 8:05 in the morning.
Oh,
here,
8:05.
Probably 9.
Mike.
Yeah, probably 9 for you.
That's a you problem.
Yeah, I texted you.
Yeah,
I'm 9:11 in the morning.
hang on. When you're behind on the invoice, I feel that I have to air my grievances where I can.
That's why we got to contact Brassfield Accounting.
Exactly. We got Brassfield Accounting. He's my fractional accountant. He is making sure that these come out.
Hammer. Yep.
By the way, you ask why do I do this? Because Giglio at least twice a podcast says something that I want to laugh so hard at out loud. Either a reference or some comment, or he goes, I put the glasses on in the pen. So that's really, really what it comes into. And Ovies, it's really a tip of the cap to you to see how you tried to pull him in to that radio lifestyle, and he just fights it, and I love it.
Yeah, that's why we're here.
He struggled with the coward take.
Oh,
the West Coast and the
no, that was no. That wasn't it. It was it doesn't matter how much I can try. He always finds a way, and it's like Jack Nicholson in Batman. Like, how does he do that? Like all these wonderful toys. No, what broke me was the dude up in Detroit, Valenti, who lost his shit over Gus Johnson. I'm like,
in an Indiana Penn State game that had nothing to do with him.
It's a Monday in Detroit in the football season.
Anybody can buy.
Detroit's atop the Atlantic.
Yes. Yeah.
NBA season's back.
Who knew?
And you're spending an entire segment ripping Gus Johnson? Yeah, you know what? My radio brain's broken. Sorry. Because Dimitri, of course, tried to defend it. Dimitri defended it.
No, I after the game last night, I'm getting to the bus and they'll pump in whatever radio station they have. And the debate was going on about LeBron's greatness.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm like,
Minneapolis?
Yeah, I'm like, you're in Minneapolis.
JJ McCarthy? Like, what?
No, I mean, you can do that, or you can talk about the Wild's win that just happened and where they've been and how they've been resurrected with all of their injuries that they're going through. But no, that's what I knew. It really is. I go back to an argument I never wanted to make when I was in talk radio: the Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame. That told me you literally had no idea about anything around you to talk about.
Well, Mike, next time we talk to you, we're going to talk to you about the Mount Rushmore of Kane's random names. The Mount Rushmore of obscurity. That's what we'll do next time.
Or we can do if Wayne Gretzky played today.
Well,
or if you have a 20 million.
You were a little busy for the Edmonton game. But I heard that pregame, and when Rod Brindamore said that not only are Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl two of the best in the game now, but to ever play.
Ever.
I said.
He said ever.
I would like to cash in my bingo ticket right now. I called that shit a full week ahead of time.
All right, Mike. We'll talk to you later, man.
All right, guys. Always a pleasure. Be good.
Yeah, Chris. Yeah. Yes, Chris.
Yes, Chris.
Brassfield. Chris
we
Brassfield.
Should probably bypass.
Yeah, can we just have Chris directly? No, we can't do that. No, we can't do that. No, there's reasons for that. No, you're right. There's reasons
Chris,
for that.
Wink, wink, nod, nod. But yes.
Yeah. We just took a hockey break with Mike Maniscalco. I need a break coming up here soon.
Take a break. Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy and Hill.
Because let's think about it. Next week, you're going to be having turkey, stuffing, mac and cheese, green bean casseroles, sweet potato casseroles, pies.
Do you have mac and cheese on?
No, I don't. I'm not a mac and cheese guy. I think mac and cheese is just...
I don't have mac and cheese on Thanksgiving.
To me, you can have mac and cheese
Any
whatever.
I love mac and cheese. No, I love it. You don't like macaroni, though.
I always come away disappointed with mac and cheese. And if I'm going to do mac and cheese, just give me the Kraft.
Yeah.
In a box.
Correct.
Not the microwave stuff, like old school with the powder. The microwave tastes like terrible. Regardless, you're putting a bunch of like very rich things into your system next week. You're going to need a detox.
Yes.
Start thinking about a Happy Inhale. Actually, prepare for Thanksgiving from now until going to Happy Inhale.
Yeah.
So download the app, use that promo code OG25. It'll save 25% off.
Do you know you can make your own bowl?
Order. Yeah.
I didn't. Their combo are so good. The
Yeah, I don't
flavor
thi-
combinations. I
don't
I
even
didn't
think about
try
it.
for a very long time.
Mhm.
Like my last 2 visits, though, I made my own bowl. It was really good
Okay.
because I like those little cucumbers. I also like the red onions and the carrots, the shredded carrots.
Well, if you come up with a banger bowl and they want to take it from you,
No,
contact Whitaker and Hamer, and then you guys can negotiate a clause. Something can kick in.
Will you
something
finally
like that.
get to the part where I can give you your props now?
I don't even know when it's time for the props.
I got props, but you gotta get to the right ad.
WH.lawyer. Check them out. WH.lawyer. And of course, our friend Matt Davis over at State Farm. Check him out online at suregarner.com. Call him directly at 919-779-8277. I feel like Matt Davis needs to take out an insurance policy on you and your season with Will Wade.
It's gonna be interesting. Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting season with
He
you and Will
wasn't
Wade.
mad today.
We'll get to that in a
Just
second.
talking.
We'll get to that in a second. In the meantime, you want to save on home and auto, maybe even do some financial planning? Contact Matt Davis today at insuregarner.com or 919-779-8277. And holiday seasons, you got to find the fits, right? You need the Rowback. Oh, it's here? Yes. Let me see. Can I have? Let me have. Anyway, go to rowback.com. They got their Black Friday sale going on right now before Black Friday even arrives. Oh my goodness. The Melikaliki Maka polo. This is fantastic. I cannot wait to rock this on Saturday. I cannot wait. It feels good. Super comfortable.
Where do you feel it?
We're in your plums. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the design. It's got little Santas. It's little surfing Santas. With the they got the Cousin Eddie in my size.
And
yes, the Cousin Eddie quarter zip. So I got my fit for Saturday. I'm gonna wear.
I don't, but you do.
I'm gonna do the thing. I'm gonna wear a polo with the quarter zip on top of it. Yeah. I don't care if it's gonna be 70 some odd degrees.
Let me see the Melikaliki Maka because that's phenomenal.
It's a phenomenal design. It's an absolutely phenomenal design. So go to Rowback. Rowback.com. Black Friday sales going on right now. You can save 20%.
Is that beer?
No, those aren't little beers.
What are they?
I don't know what they. I think it's like little
the flower.
It's got a little
the Kapalua flower. You know, I know that from golf.
Not from
not
from the college football intro
No.
for the game between Hawaii and whoever
There's
it
always
was in
garbage
2007.
floating around. Here you go.
All right.
Not in the golf though.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. All right, before we get to Giglio's interaction with NC State head basketball coach Will Wade, we have some corrections and clarifications.
All mixed up, you don't know what to do. I guess we'll clarify and correct something or two. Cause you know what JoJo is not the first or the last. Thing they've got wrong in the past.
This is from an 828.
Hey guys, just sitting here watching the Canes lose to Minnesota, catching up on today's podcast. Just wanted to call and make sure y'all were aware of how Trimble actually broke his arm the other week. I heard y'all mention today that, you know, it was probably something in practice with his ability to drive to the basket and get to the hoop. No, it was dumber than that, and honestly a fireable offense by whoever works the weight room at UNC. I'll leave y'all to look up the details. It's been a while since I read the article, but basically he was doing the team weightlifting and one of the machines fell on him and broke his arm. So yeah, hope Carolina fired someone after that or something, cause that just should never happen, but wanted to make sure y'all were aware of that because if that ain't triangles, I don't know what is. Thanks, bye.
So that's me, because when this happened, Jeff Goodman, I went back and looked. I'm like, wait, how did I miss that? It was around the time that I was flying all over the place and some things fell through the cracks in terms of like transactional news or little tidbits here and there. And Jeff Goodman at Field of 68 was the first one to put that out there, that this happened in the weight room. Happened in the weight room. It was not bolted down on the
Not
lat
a free
machine.
weight. We're talking about a machine.
It was a lat machine. It was a lat machine. So yeah, that's could have been worse.
Yeah.
Could have been worse. Thankfully, it's just the arm. And hopefully we'll get Seth Trimble back here relatively sooner than later. Let's go back to the sports phone, shall we? Let's go to a 919 to set this up. I got this call before I even knew what the hell was going on.
Hey, Joe, I just listened to the press conference with Will Wade where you tried to go all fucking big brain on us and expose our secret. Maybe next time, quit trying to look so fucking smart and expose our shit.
So I got that call. I was like, what the fuck did Giglio do? And then you roll up to the studio and then you said, hey, I got a video with me and Will Wade.
It's not a very good video. JC Zimble, not there today. So I felt compelled to provide my own.
It's okay. I cleaned it up a little bit to even out the audio. So you got to set this up. This is Will Wade doing his normal press availability. It starts mid-answer. So what were you asking him before we got into this exchange, and what were we getting at here?
Yes. So after the game on Monday, against VCU, he talked about, and this is, remember, where my brain started moving about analytics and their NBA style.
Right.
And it didn't dawn on me what they were trying to do, because he said, we need to let the people on the wings get the ball and do what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very analytical mindset, because in the NBA, the corner three is considered the easiest shot in basketball. So you want to defend the corners, but let people do what they want to do on the wings, in his words.
Gotcha.
So ever since he said that to me, I was thinking to myself, okay, I'm just watching the game, first half upstairs, second half with a bunch of State fans. And in the second half with a bunch of State fans, it became, I don't understand why they get so many open shots. So in my brain, I'm watching the game. I hear what they're saying. I also watching the game. So from the weak side, they're helping in the interior. They help in the paint because, as will point out, they want to protect the paint. So what they're saying is, we'd rather help in the paint, prevent an easy basket, and allow you to shoot from the outside. I believe where they want you to shoot, based on what he has said, is the wings and not the corner. But when you just watch the game, you're going, okay, VCU took 42 threes.
42, yeah.
And a lot of them were open.
Yeah.
So, and you see the help. So the open man is only open because you're helping, right? If you're just playing straight man, no one should be open.
Right.
Okay. So I literally went there today to ask him specifically about, hey, what would your ideal average half court defensive possession look like?
This all seems reasonable. I'm going to be really curious why the caller was very upset.
I think his answer was very reasonable too. I think he was trying to let's listen. Yeah, let him.
You keep the ball out of the paint, you force a non-paint shot, you contest the non-paint shot, and you got a better chance to rebound. That answer, I mean, that's simplistic, but
right. But I guess they took 41 threes. I feel like a bunch of them were open. So I think some of them were by design open, and some of them were where you said we can't let that corner three, because obviously, as all analytics know, the corner three is the easiest shot in basketball.
That's not true.
Not true.
It's the easiest shot. See, that's the BS that they've spread into college. It's the easiest shot in the NBA, because the NBA, the line's closer. It's not the easiest shot in college. They trick you into thinking that because it's the NBA. Now, it's a really good shot.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong. It's a really good shot, but its point value is not as high as it is in the NBA in college. Look, I understand your question. Our defense, if you look at our defensive profile, we're going to give up a lot of threes. It's the type of threes that we're giving up. And I thought the type of threes we gave up to VCU, for the most part, about 85-90% of them were the type threes we want to give up. And I know to the lay fan and the lay person, it looks like, oh my God, they're giving up a bunch of open threes. But there's a method to it, and we know the percentages that they're taking. If they're taking the type threes that we want, which about 85-90% of them were, and it looks like, oh my gosh, it's an open shot, but it's not nearly as high a percentage shot as you would think, if it's the type three that we want taken. And our defense is built to take those type threes, and we've got 5 years of data to back that up. But it does look like, oh my gosh, it's a wide open three. Well, some of those wide open threes or late contested threes are way in our favor. So there are going to be many more teams that hoist 35, 40 threes against us.
Now you say the kind you want. That's dependent on the player or dependent on the position on the floor, or both?
More the position on the floor, but somewhat the player. Depends on depends on the player and how good a shooter he is, but a lot of it depends on the positioning on the floor. I don't want to get, I'm not trying to avoid your question. I don't want to get too deep into it because there's some things that play to our advantage that teams don't understand play to our advantage. I don't want to just like give away the farm on what we're doing. I'm not trying to be a jerk and avoid it, but like I'm fine with the majority of the threes they took. It was an advantage for the Wolfpack on a lot of the threes that they took. The numerical advantage was in our favor.
I'm trying to learn.
Was that's Shelby Swanson in front of you, right? I if you're watching on YouTube, Shelby looks back at you like, oh,
it's a full Giglio experience.
Yeah. As Paul put it on the YouTube comments, Will Wade coach-splaining Giglio hard in this clip. Hard.
Hey, trying to figure it out. Trying to learn. I'm telling you, when he said that in the Monday press conference, my brain started moving. And I was like, all right, let me try to get on this man's level.
Yeah.
We'll see. Because what he's trying to do is really hard. I tried to say this to him. He didn't want to talk to me after the press conference, which is fine. He's trying to reteach people how to watch basketball and how winning basketball happens. We have decades of Dean Smith, Roy Williams, Mike Krzyzewski. So it's not just NC State. It's this area knows what winning basketball looks like. And allowing open shots is not part of the old equation. Do you see what I'm saying? So this is a new part of it where he's saying, no, the math says that's good defense.
No, yeah, I get all that stuff.
So the help, but it's created by helping on the post. It's created by the weak side help.
I think
that's where it becomes, all right, now you do know there's going to be games where somebody bangs like 5 of these threes on you.
Yeah.
Kadir Copeland style, Chris Hall, Chris, whatever his name was from Syracuse. Can't remember the kid's name who came in here and hit 8 threes against State with Kadir Copeland on the team.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a game like that happens and they lose, and you're going to be like, well, shit, why did we give up 8 threes? It's all part of the math.
I understand the math.
I don't. I'm trying to, though.
No.
I'm trying to.
I understand the strategy. So I understand what you're saying in that Will Wade is coach-splaining, if you will, of what they're trying to do. It's what I don't like. What I don't like is the kind of general attitude that some people had last week of like, oh wow, Joe Giglio discovers analytics. Like, I don't think you guys understand that this is new for NC State specifically. And actually,
new to the triangle.
Let's tie it back to the start of today's podcast and alignment and understanding that things are different now. Younger coaches, younger money, new ways of doing things. You're right. And that there's been a way that we understand basketball. I have been saying this about John Shire and Duke, that I don't think people have quite put their arms around or quite grasped how they're running their operation. I'm not talking about the day-to-day X's and O's of a game with John Shire. I'm simply talking about the operation itself is so different than what we've been used to, but they're well suited to handle it, right down to how the GM is running things over there, okay? The same thing's happening with NC State. But I will say this about Will Wade, and one thing that if we're learning, Will Wade also needs to learn. That I'm not knocking VCU. I'm not knocking LSU. I'm not knocking McNeese State. This market is different in how we approach and talk about basketball. You see what I'm getting at?
Mm-hmm.
So, the general attitude of like, we ain't giving the farm away. I mean, you ain't giving the farm away answering a question, number one. Number two, it's not like other teams ain't watching. You see what I'm getting at? They're going to get enough tape on you. They're going to get enough film on you. They're going to feel, they're going to understand this. And yes, math aside, sometimes you're going to go up against a player who's going to dot you. Regardless of the math, Chris is going to hit threes on you.
Chris Bell. 8 of 10 from the 3-point
Yes.
line. That's who I was thinking.
But yeah, Ken actually sums it up perfectly in the YouTube comments. His thesis is these shots are worst. These shots are the worst, so we'll let them have it. Works until you get the hot shooter or set. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that the push and pull of analytics and sports and things like that, you can math it up all day. But what makes sports interesting is that sometimes you're going to go up against a dude that's absolutely going to roast you or just get hot because that's sports. Sometimes you're going to have the hero of the day.
I was going to say, and that's your choice.
That's your choice.
That's your choice.
Now, I understand the math there too. You're going to take your chances playing this way to win more games than not.
However,
just hope it doesn't happen at the worst time.
We have 5 decades of evidence, though, that if you just play man defense and guard your man, I don't know. It'd be interesting.
Yeah, that's one way of doing it. It's definitely one way of doing it.
Giglio's social crap.
Look at that polish. That's actual production.
So good.
With an actual voice. That is, ladies and gentlemen, auditory effects. You might need to sonically brand yourself. That's what the kids call it.
Wow.
Sonically brand yourself. Make it sound professional. And if you're trying to break through, everybody's doing content, right? You can fire up a podcast. Anybody can fire up a podcast. But how are you going to stand out? Well, you do it with sonic branding from our friends at at Auditory Effects. And it's relatively cheap. Libraries start at just $19 for sound packs. So audience attention, all that kind of stuff, you got to grab it some way, somehow. You do it with how you sound. And that's where Auditory Effects can help you out. And again, those libraries start at just $19 for that first sound pack. So go check them out. If you're thinking about doing podcasting, maybe you run an events business and you need some visual presentation or better sound, they can help you out with that as well. Speaking of basketball, you had sent me this, and I feel like are you on some Cooper Flag algorithm?
Oh man,
this is from some guy.
See,
this is from some guy named Eddie Lynx.
You got mad about not having the Galaxy brain to come to the conclusions that Colin Cowherd did.
Oh, no!
I am now mad that I didn't come up with this first.
All right, let's.
I'm now
classified because his original grade was too good. There are 6 guys.
Hold on a second, because it started playing. This is about Cooper Flag. And
remember
the
last
reason
year
why he reclassified. Remember, Joe, he's only 17.
Remember last year it was
he's only 17 years old. And his thesis is that he reclassified because he couldn't compete. That's his thesis.
No, his thesis is he reclassified for a specific reason.
No, he says straight up, couldn't compete.
Guys in the current freshman college basketball class that are better than Cooper Flag. So Cooper Flag looked around, he realized who he was, and he classified up so that he could be the best player in that class. Cooper Flag had been getting dominated by the guys in his grade his entire career. So he made the smartest business decision. Just reclass up and go be the #1 draft pick. Because Cooper Flag would have been fighting to be a top 10 pick in this upcoming year's draft. AJ DeBonta was always better than Cooper Flag. They played head-to-head multiple times. Cameron Boozer, always better than Cooper Flag. So I'm not upset with Cooper Flag for reclassifying. I'm upset because Cooper Flag didn't tell everybody why he reclassified.
Well. Smart business decision. I ain't going to knock it.
He concludes that Cooper Flag is not a generational talent. However, he made a smart move.
Well, you know my stance with Cooper Flag. He's just a boring watch. He might be a very productive NBA player, but he's not going to captivate you in the NBA the way that people wanted him to captivate you. And we saw elements of this last year at Duke. Now,
the Bears, who are who we thought they were.
Here's Dan Hurley. They lost last night to Arizona. Dan Hurley, UConn was upset. They said they got punked out there. And I'm wondering if we are going to get to a point where Will Wade does go Dan Hurley on you this season.
I don't think he was mad at me today.
It's not that he was mad at you, but these things build. These things build.
Fair.
Here's Dan Hurley being very dramatic after the loss last night.
Sometime around.
So in this clip, somebody was asking about the numbers. He then takes the box score and he rips it up while giving his wry smile. And then he talks about how they blew a fucking chance to beat one of the best teams.
2 a.m., 3, 4:30 a.m. I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna think it was just a nightmare. And then finally when I'm up and just kind of starting to move around, but I'm feeling half dead at around 7:30, 8 o'clock. I'm going to realize, that we just blew a chance to beat one of the best teams down 2 studs, and in a game that we were down 13 and wobbling. Our people got to get our guys healthy and on the court so that we could be the team that we're all really high on.
So there you go. Dan Hurley already in midseason form, and it's November 20th.
Felt like it was the training staff's fault there.
Yeah, he did kind of put it on them, didn't he? He did kind of put him on there.
Can you imagine me covering Dan Hurley?
That's just a couple Jersey guys getting right along. Here's Devin Cooley. He is a goalie for the Calgary Flames, and honestly, I think this is probably the best way to approach life.
You really have to ground yourself. So I just I think I've said this before, but I just go nothing matters, nobody cares, we're all gonna die, and I just say that over and over and over again. So that way, I don't get too excited, because as soon as I start getting too excited, I'm like, oh, this could be it. This could be the win. We're playing really well. I'll start doing stupid stuff, and then I'll give up dumb goals because I'm being stupid. And so if I just keep repeating those words over and over again, it just grounds me, and I can just really just stay in the moment and not.
So
nothing else.
Here's what I'm gonna.
We're gonna die. We're all gonna die anyway.
This is gonna be my thought process. I'm actually gonna save this for myself. When we're done recording a podcast, I'm like, damn, Joe, you sucked today. You were ass today. You couldn't your transition sucked. You couldn't get the words out right. You made a dumb point. And I'm just going to think about this.
You really have to ground yourself. So I just I think I've said this before, but I just go nothing matters, nobody cares, we're all going to die. And I just say that over and over and over.
We're all going to die. It doesn't matter if the podcast was too long, man.
Put it on a shirt. Nothing matters.
Nothing matters.
Nobody cares. We're all going to die.
But I care about one thing, Joe. We'll close on this. I care about one thing. Marvin Austin better be on stage with Rick Ross December 6th outside Bank of America Stadium. The ACC announced their Fan Fest headliner. You think he's Big Meech? Larry Hoover? Whip and work? Hallelujah? Rick Ross.
I don't still have a number for Marvin, do I?
I mean, I don't know. Is he even still on? Is Anchorman Austin 8 still on Twitter? Is he going to be there getting the bottles like they were a giveaway at Club Live?
I live at Club Live.
Let's go. Yeah, Rick Ross. This has been a hell of a year for football, ACC football and rappers.
Boo, I don't.
Oh, man, that's a bummer. Rick Ross is capping off the year after Ludacris gave the free concert in Chapel Hill and had it a Clemson game.
I'm sorry, sir.
What a year.
I don't believe you until you read the press release for me.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me read the press release. Hold on a second. Let me pull up ACC Communications from my email. ACC Communications. Here we go.
I smell a new bit, by the way. This is 2 days in a row that we're reading an ACC
I got
email.
premium options. Here it is. Here it is. Dateline Charlotte, North Carolina, the ACC.com. Rapper and entrepreneur Rick Ross will perform at FanFest on Saturday, December 6th. Ahead of the 2025 ACC Football Championship game. Ross, whose chart-topping hits include Hustlin', The Boss, and Stay Schemin', all properly punctuated, by the way, will take the stage at 5:45 at Bearden Park, just a block away from Bank of America Stadium. Hustlin'. What, no BMF?
No Aston Martin.
None of that? We're going to get Rick Ross saying, I just landed in Charlotte? No, actually, he wouldn't say that because he says, I just landed in Europe, as though Europe is a specific place that you can land in.
It's a concept.
So he could just say, I just landed in
America.
The
Carolina.
I just landed in Carolina. Perfect. Yeah. Which one?
I don't know. Doesn't matter.
I don't know. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. I hope you all enjoyed. Let's get after tomorrow for an OG mailbag.
Doesn't matter. And nobody cares.
Nope.
And we're all going to die.
On that note, see you for the mailbag tomorrow.